very much for joining our security services market webinar. I know this was scheduled Friday. Thank you for that. We had an emergency, personal emergency. The family was in A&E, so all good. So we're back. So hence this delay. But thank you for joining. And anybody who will be watching the recording later on, apologies if you registered and because of this you weren't able to attend. So. Most of the colleagues are all industry friends, but there will always be one or two colleagues who normally join in. So let me talk them through. I assume you could see my screen still. Please do keep the chat active and let me know. Normally the first slide works. After that, when I start to move in, the second slide stopped working. So can you see my second slide? Yeah. Please keep the chat active. And before I begin, just introduce yourself, name and where you are from. When I say where you're from, just put the town you're from rather than the company. So thank you. So in that way, we can keep it going. Hi, Kevin. Good to have you. So this is where we started. We continue to provide market sales development insights to trusted friends like strategy marketing directors, which most of you are. Chief execs or MDs when they take up a role and really want to stress test, how they want to plan their strategy going forward, or sales directors who really have a good understanding of the market, but they just want to boost their pipeline, or they just want to fill some of the gaps within their intelligence that they want to do it. So either way, they were key friends. But over the years, because as you can see, there is a lot of consolidation that happens in the FM market. So many companies who work with investors, they tend to use us, or many investors who are looking at prospective targets, they also use us for the analysis. Then we work with NHS, local councils, CCS, etc., just on providing some supplier engagement events, because we just want to have all the good suppliers to be part of all the good tenders. Sometimes good tenders, and sometimes the buyers don't know who exists, or we just kind of nicely play in the domain. And most importantly, why are we here? We just want market to realize just sustainable value. So that's it. So again, all these, rather than the brands, it's all the friends within these companies who use us. And when they move to new companies, they continue to use us. And that's how it is. And a lot of you might know me already. A lot of you know the company. It's a small company. But over the years, we have worked with pretty much all top 20. And we have now worked with 2/3 of the top 85. But we only take 1 or 2 projects a month just to serve our friends and give their best growth clarity. So that's where we are. So as I mentioned, for our 3 years, so from 2018-19, we started to do this monthly FM market webinars, because the options that you have in the market is you have the research companies who come and publish FM market is XYZ, and then you have the IWFMs and the RICs and others who have events on the other side. So what we tend to play in between the market is, okay, then you have these OJU trackers and others on the public sector that publishes what tenders are available today. But when you try to forecast it to understand what will be coming up in the next renewals, etc., it's becoming challenging. So we started to fill that gap in the market. Okay, there is this public sector trackers that you subscribe to. There is this associations that's there. There is this research companies that provide one-off research reports every 3-4 years coming out with trends, but market changes every day. And, so it's important for you, to just get that glimpse, and that's where we do. As I mentioned, today it's security services. This month, if you go to Baachu Rain /events, you can access all our past webinars. You can access all our webinars there, from COVID all the days to UK government to office and commercial buildings, both private and public sector. We also split it down by services, just in case if this is the first time you're attending this. A finale, this is for Rain members. A Rain subscription is as simple as £500 a month for individual leaders, and for SMEs is £2,000, and for bigger companies it's 10,000, because we know COVID is hit, so which means unlimited licenses for corporates. Anybody can do it, whereas for SMEs it goes up to 5 people, so you still get, instead of 4, you get 6, so you get 5. Whereas 5, why this is important is you will start to know, because I just want to pick your mind on this. What do you think is the UK market size? From what you know from the market, what do you believe is the UK market size? Because we have crawled through, many companies use us for this, but I'm always curious, what do you believe is the UK market size? Just add it in the chat box. I'm curious to know. Once I see 3-4 comments, then I'll proceed to the next one. Please to add, what do you believe is the UK market size, FM market size? I've given some answers here, but I'm sure you might have your own views of this could be the value. What do you think? Don't worry, this is not the test. I just want to pick your brains on this. Okay, Kevin says 50. Anyone else? Yeah, it's. I think everybody has their own economic models to forecast, and we also have our own economic model, but we don't forecast or do anything. Our models are very simple, which is like, okay, year on year, or month on month, day on day, there are contracts that's been awarded. So our simple workflow is, okay, if we manage to create a contracts list, and if we add all the contracts that's been outsourced, divided by the contract value by the contract duration, that gives us an annual contract value, which could be the market size, right? And again, the biggest caveat is, how do you know? Do you have all the contracts that you have in the marketplace? No, we don't. But over the years, we are building, and that's what you are finding here. So, and again, do we have thank you, Nicola, thank you for sharing 40 billion. Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting. Again, the total contract value or annual contract value, yes, the number swings between 40 to 45 billion. But again, that's because of the contracts that we manage. Is only 11,000 contracts outsourced in the UK? No, definitely not. There is a lot more. Is it 30,000 contracts, 25,000 contracts? That's where AIN members come into the picture, where we say, hey, we have got these contracts by sectors, by services, and not necessarily we have inputs for, we don't have contract value for some, we don't have contract duration for some. Help us to fill the gaps so that we could provide standard market insights, and that also becomes your pipeline. We have RAIN app where people subscribe to, which kinds of consolidate this, which means you could slice and dice the market on an annual basis. So this contracts as and when the update gets filled in there. Yeah, so we are gradually moving away from this one-off pipeline push into strategic intelligence tools and stuff. So either way, that's where we are. This will be the starting point. As you can see, split by public, private, hard, soft, integrated FM at a high level. But then, if it's a further breakdown of how much is cleaning, which we did recently, you can watch this. And today we are talking about security. The total contract value we estimate on in the Baachu database, it's to 120 billion. That's like, if the average contract duration is 3 years or something, then that's the number that you are hitting here, 120 billion. But that number, as it swings, what happens is, if you, I did a webinar called Why the FM Market is Screwed in April. And that tells us that, yes, we are accommodating a lot more on this work, ESG, sustainability, workplace, and you will be surprised, cybersecurity is now part of security as well. Is it? But cybersecurity is IT? No, cybersecurity is now bundled as a security contract. So, and this is how FM absorbs anything and everything within it. So, which means the market, as you see, will continue to expand, not because they are FM, because the very first question that I asked in that why the FM market screwed is, what is really FM? It totally differs by the buyer, by the provider of how they define it. And what that means is, you are going to find some people saying car parking as FM, some people say cybersecurity as FM. Are they wrong? No, it's all part of it. And some does even a lot more. So either way, the market is highly competitive. There is a lot of niche players, local players, and top global companies who all try to play their market in this. But either way, we have covered this deeply, 1 month to COVID, 3 months to COVID, 1 year to COVID, 2 years to COVID. And we also had a very first webinar, upcoming contracts in April, kind of when April, May went deeper on this. So, today we have all these, normal FM issues that also affects you as a security service specialist or soft FM service specialist. So let's move on into, and again, I'm not going to go deeper on this again. Interestingly, there are some buyers who also attend. We had close to 91 buyers in one of the webinars. So I also take this opportunity to tell them, when insourcing is common in soft FM, people are, I won't say common, but when people are thinking that, yes, it could be done by ourselves, I just want them to know it does require specialist skill set. It does require specialist training. It does require specialist technology to manage. It's not so. These slides it's just on your benefit, just in case if any buyer is attending this webinar with the recordings and stuff, just to know. It's beyond beyond just putting a personnel in front of your building. There's a lot more that goes behind it, and you just need to have a structured, disciplined security company or an FM company to help you. The support isn't, that's it. Ramp up, ramp down, all other things, just there. So this is where, as I talk through, we will make this more or less as a joint session. So the contracts that we monitor out of this 11,000 odd contracts, nearly 1,000 contracts in monitors in security. Again, we don't actively go and find a lot more contracts as and when we receive a remit. So when we do a webinar, we go and scan through what security webinar, what security contracts are available in publicly available information. It could be journals, magazines, tender portals, or any social media. And all the other things. We have technology that automatically crawls. We have technology that automatically brings or digests that information. So we just do that. But normally it's based on use cases. So either way, nobody comes and tells us, hey, we want to build up a security pipeline. So normally it's like, hey, build a soft services pipeline or hard services pipeline in this sector. Within it, we find some security opportunities. So what we have, which is, what we have is we monitor close to 906 tenders that we have, right? Out of which 440 is from the public, 466 in the private. You might be surprised why private is more. We have more private than public because a lot more people tend to assume that they can easily extract pipeline information, like who runs what contract, when does it expire, what services has been outsourced from their tender portals. They try that. They spend up to £30,000 with the public sector portals, and then they realize they couldn't, and they normally come to us. So public sector is there, but private sector is where most people use our services for. And standalone security, this is where it gets interesting. This is where I again want to have your inputs on. There are standalone security contracts which gets outsourced in the market, but then you also find soft FM and also integrated FM contracts that's also been outsourced in the market, right? Or bundled FM, bundled or integrated. From your industry experience, how much of the soft FM, say X million, say I assume it's, say there is a £1 million soft FM contract. How much of that, and that has cleaning, security to a certain extent, landscape, I don't know, like catering or anything else. In your opinion, what's the range of percentage that security contracts forms part of the soft FM? Again, because why we need it is we have a list of contracts. We know they are soft FM, but for us to extract security part of that, we just need to have a percentage. So from your experience, what do you think is the percentage that security forms part of an overall FM contract, overall soft FM contract? Any thoughts? So you are doing an NHS contract, you are doing an office and commercial building contract. How much roughly? 20%, 30%? Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Anybody else? How much is the percentage? Roughly, because reason for that is we do have close to 126 odd soft FM contracts, and for us, we made an assumption, but we just want to confirm. We made 33% as the percentage for security within a soft FM contract. Is that right? I don't know. That's where you come in. That's where the industry leaders come in to just say, okay, it's 20 to 30%, ballpark 25%. Yeah, that means the overall value changes. What it means is pure play. If we add all just the security contracts with the contracts that we had, that 575 contracts roughly comes to 4.3 billion. Then we take a percentage of the other contracts, and that's what comes in. In overall integrated FM, we have assumed 10% could be the security contract value of the overall integrated. That includes cleaning, catering, hard FM, etc. Does that sound right to you? 10%, or do you think it should be lower? Any thoughts? So no, 30% for soft FM is the security component, and 10% for TFM or bundled FM. Any thoughts from your experience? Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Anybody else? Because the reason for that is you won't get this kind of detailed breakdown of the market anywhere else. People will come out with a top-notch, high-level information on this is it, why is it, etc. But when it comes to public and private, is we do our best to give you that insight. So the more insights we get, it's going to be useful for us to firm up. Again, what you find here is, yes, these are the number of contracts. So within that contract portfolio, from the details that we have, what you find is public sector contracts tend to be short duration, 2 to 3 years, and private sector can go 3 to 5 years. And again, that's pure play security. But in some cases, if it's soft FM, you are going to see in NHS, etc., it's going to be 5+, 1+1, or in local councils tend to be the smallest one, 3+1, or 1+1, or central government. It's normally, because of the CCS framework, it rolls out every 4 years. So max it goes 5 years, but it could also go. And again, the contract duration swings between the elements. So this is the high level what I want to land even before I begin, because everything else relies on this information. So we have public-private breakdown. We monitor 906, and there is the element of soft FM and high integrated FM within this. And we have taken a percentage out of that, and we have it. And again, the average duration of the contract, when we don't know the duration of the contract, we have taken an average of what we have within the industry. So, and you have all the big, small players. Again, guess how many players are there within security services? There are close to 250 security service providers within our database itself. If we regionalize them, that will be even more interesting. But they're when we did the original analysis, the top 20 manages over 33 to 35% of the FM contracts. The top 85 manages close to 66%, or 2/3 of the market, and then the rest is where others fight for. That's the overall when we crunch the market from our input. So now let's go deeper and deeper. Again, you can take a picture of this. We don't normally share this because we keep that for RAIN members. It's but you can take pictures of that. But if you're really desperate, drop me a note, because obviously we spend a lot of time and energy on doing these things. That 500 pounds by 10 people, 5,000 pounds helps us to do some research on behalf of you, and then you could just use it for your own internal analysis. That's the underpinning point here. But central government, again, central government is slightly skewed because there is a lot of big contracts. There is a contract with I think it's DWP with G4S, which is like worth 450 million, and then there is a contract with HMCTS, I think, that OCS runs, that's like 250 million. So you have some large chunky security contracts within central government, whereas you have kind of 3 to 5 million, 10 million type of contracts, or 1 million, or even putting one security guard type of contracts as well, because that's kind of skewed central government because they have some large chunky contract. But overall, if you look at 5.1 billion, central government office, we have split it into two parts. If you're familiar with how we break down the market, we separate finance and insurance because some companies have it, finance and insurance, as its own vertical. We carved it out. Anything outside finance and insurance sits in office. Then your traditional retail, then your energy utilities type companies, then your leisure. These are your sports, football clubs, museums, and all the events or venues that comes in leisure. Transport, both what we call the bus, the rail, the airports, all kicks in there. Higher education is the universities and higher colleges. Manufacturing, pharma, industrial, as you learn from their local government is the councils. Healthcare is NHS plus private. Housing, social housing. Then you have education is schools. Then anything that just spillover goes in there. That's how we have categorized it, but we can categorize in any different form. That's the high level principle. What you find here is, out of the 5.1 billion, yes, there are 1 or 2 contracts, as I mentioned, has large values attached to it, but that takes a lead there. But again, as and when we get more and more assignments to do projects around this area, we definitely will refine this. But for now, with the 900 odd contracts, this is where we have 5.1 billion, and it's split across these things. Our retail comes, office is the highest one, so maybe this breakdown might help you. On this side, yeah, central government transport, because you can find lots of security in all the bus transports, the tubes, all the rail stations, airports, etc. So it comes there, universities. So you're finding predominantly a lot more happening there. And on this side, it's office, retail, and so what are the top three? What are the top 3 if you want to target? within your chosen market. Just it gives you a feel for, based on the contracts that we monitor, which is 900. There could be a lot more, as I mentioned, but based on the contract that we monitor, are you playing in these markets? If not, can you go to these markets? So if you don't play in, if you are already in this market, can you go deeper in this market? If so, do you want to know who are the players within this market? When does the project expire, etc.? That's where we come in. So central government, transport, higher education, top three on one side, and local councils on this side. You have the other ones. Again, these are based on the data points that we have in the private sector, public sector, 2.5, 2.6 billion, and equally split. So now the question comes, which is why you are here. And now the question comes, okay, we all know this, but within your database, what are the opportunities that's coming up for tenders, that's coming up for renewal in the next, say, 3 years? Right? We know it's 5.1 billion, and out of which how many are coming into the marketplace? Again, we have 168 of the opportunities that expires in the next 3 years. And then there are some which we don't have contract values. Again, that's where AIM members kick in to help us to fill the gaps. So we have 168, 1.6 billion opportunities in public sector, private sector. This is the overall number. So if you are playing in this market, this is the overall, as per our database, what your forward-looking sits. So that's the pointers there. So next, if you want to break it down, like, okay, where are the lot more opportunities kick in? This is where things goes in. So primarily, what you find here is you have 43 contracts. So again, I'm not going to reiterate it again. Which sector is going to give you a lot more on the contract volume? You're going to have local government, central government, office. Again, the big six, you can find it just over here. But as in when we boost more contracts in this, you're going to see these numbers moving. But for now, with what we have, this is what it's going to come. There is at least 1.6 billion worth of opportunities that goes in here, and anything more, just plan it accordingly. You have your forward order book, you have your existing contracts. How much of this is coming for renewals? Just plan it accordingly. That's the overall thing. Now, if you want to break it down even further, if you want to break it down even further, we have the total number of contracts, which is listed here. Just 1 second. Sorry, I'm just. So when it comes to the upcoming opportunities, if you break it down by timeline, what you have is, okay, overall, you're going to have all these opportunities, and how is it broken down by timeline? This is how you're going to have a look at the overall contract value. So that 1.5 billion that we talked about, what you have here is, in 2023, the breakdown comes to 868 million. In 2024, 239, and 2025, 491. So it just goes down and it goes up. And again, whatever your in-year revenue target is, there is scope for you to go deeper on this, and there is a lot more that you can go from here. So if there is any questions, please do drop it as and when we go, but I'll just continue with the flow. So that the overall spend, how it's broken down, but can you get in? Obviously, procurement wise, quarter one, more or less, it's all quarter one, quarter two, depending on how proactive the client buyers are. They might already be running this procurement, so you might be slightly late for this, or it might be done already, or it's in the process of doing it. But for other elements, for Q3 onwards, again, you should be in a much stronger position to get the pipeline, to boost your pipeline, and to build relationship and get to these projects. The same thing if you categorize it by sectors, because we saw the overall number, we saw upcoming revenue by timeline. But if you want to go deeper on how the sector is categorized by the upcoming, again, those bigger projects that I talked about, that 400 million-ish, they all will be coming up back. And if they could be procured through CCS, because it's DWP and it's HMCTS, both sits under CCS, but it could also be procured outside depending on how pure it is. Either way, if you are a CC Crown Commercial Services supplier, by now you should have your account manager, and you might be able to talk to your account manager about, hey, what's happening within the CCS pipeline, what opportunities are coming within it, so that central government part of opportunities, you should have a good strong visibility of it. Because that's what their job is. It's just to ensure that you have. We know that there is a lot more opportunities within Crown Commercial Services, and they believe it's 35 billion, and at least roughly 1 billion, 1.5 billion from our thing says that security could be there. So primarily, this is the overall look based on what it is. You can take a picture of that. Yes, it's the same three, central government and what's it, but you are going to find a lot more. And it's, as I mentioned, those two opportunities, because they'll be coming up for renewal again, kind of takes it up like 600 million, which kind of skews up the overall 1.5 billion. But that's the overall market. If we take that out, then you might have some even balance. Then what you're going to find is there is high value opportunities within central government, whereas there is a lot more volume that's coming in other sectors, but it might have 1 to 5 million or 1 to 10 million type of opportunities. So that's the high level principles. Again, I loosely touched it already. Security is moved beyond personal now. So AI is, people talk about AI, especially in the private sector, when people need to man the facility, when there is no employees, etc. You all stepped up. You all did a great, fantastic job. But the expectations is continue to do that even when we have employees within the building who come 3 days, 5 days, or 4 days within it. So many companies have digitized their delivery, have made the security not just security, but more as a customer experience plus security. They do a lot more than what it is. But either way, I'm not going to reiterate what's here. There are lots of interesting technology that's now currently in the marketplace. This is also means that the people who procure security services tend not to just buy security as a standalone. They, especially in the private sector, what we are finding here is their existing IT providers. This is where I talked early on. A large, chunky, one of the largest FM contract, 1 billion plus FM contract, was actually taken out and it was given to an IT provider. IT providers, ITIS provider, mainly because they started to believe, the buyer started to believe that, okay, FM is much more digitized, as they all talk about, and you could manage the team. We insource the team, so, and then you manage them with the technology. So that thought will always be there. When we dwell too much on technology, when we talk too much on technology and not people, you are actually not helping yourself, because you are just telling others, because end of the day, the IT tech companies are well placed to play on the technology domain than you as an FM company. And FM companies talking technology means that you are telling that I can do a lot more than them. But you need to always remember, when we talk to FM market is skewed, both the sustainability, net zero, this sort of technology related initiatives, FM is only the second tier or the third tier. The Microsofts of the world, the Oracle of the world, the Amazons of the world have already shaped, with then followed up by the Accentures, the Infosys, the you name it, the Capgeminis of the world, who are actually doing it on their behalf. So just be mindful. Technology is important, innovation is important, but keep it around your security. Ensure the security plays the main role in your solutions, and the way you train them and the culture values that you go should be the main part, rather than dwell too much on the technology. Because too much on technology means, there are the buyer, especially public sector might not be the case, but in the private sector, you do need to know, do some research on who are the current IT support people for the buyers that you go for, and if possible partner with them, so that you're in a much more stronger place in bidding for private sector contracts, because in that way you're not losing it. On the other way, you are actually making it sticky for them and makes it happen. So we already talked about it. It just goes on and on and on, because remember, the biggest point is cybersecurity is no more on its own, which you believe could be IT, but now security as a whole holistically comes together. Whether there is an attack in my PC, attack in my IP, attack in my content, attack in my technology, because the lifts or the way reception is manned or anything, it's now still part of security. So, and that's where the elevation kicks in, and that's where the challenge is also for you, which is like how reliable or how credible it will be for the FM companies to talk cybersecurity, and or how easy it will be for the cybersecurity companies to do FM, or sorry, security services. And that's where you are going to find the trend is going to come in. There is technology, there are pure play companies who do different things, there are FM companies who do security part of the portfolio, but you are going to find a lot more muddled up analysis on where the market is going to go. And that's where your solution is going to be absolutely critical, and the way you plan your intelligence will also becoming very, very intelligent. It's not your competitors are no more your traditional players, that 250 odd suppliers that we have, or the top 20. It could start there, but it could also be some hidden players which you're missing out on this. Imagine if you do this one, if you bundle up XYZ within it, makes it a lot more powerful. Same thing here, risk assessment, analysis, etc. Like governance part, ESG, we still talk only about environmental element, environment, the social and the governance part. It's totally lost. And reporting, there are a lot of companies who do reporting. Again, that risk assessment and analysis, previously we used to call it health and safety kind of things, has become its own standalone monster. And there are a lot of companies who do intelligent reporting for this. If you as an FM company come out with some security incident reporting, how you're proactively doing, that's done purely based on your value addition, which means you are not normally going to be paid for it. Whereas the buyers are looking for independent risk analysis, risk assessments, etc. That's where you're going to find lots of consulting companies and lots of risk actuaries or different types of companies who are going to do this on your behalf, or they are going to do it for the buyer. Is there anything that you can carve out in addition to just providing a man or a woman to provide security services in it? You may need to think deeply about it, because there is a huge trend that we foresee. Safety, security, not just about it. You're not actually providing that service to this particular customer, but you are there for them as an independent assessor. This is like the integrated model where the likes of Sodexos or the KBRs and stuff play for the wider FM, but for the security in your niche, in your niche market, there is a scope for you to add. Yes, we are not doing security for you, but why can't we do this independent risk assessment for you? And at the same time, yes, we don't do this. In our offer now, we can also do cybersecurity for you. Again, cybersecurity, typically 15-20% or a lot more margin on it compared to your security, where you're paid like just above living wage. If the cleaners are paid living wage or just above living wage, you are paid £1.5 more than it, and whatever, then you're on cost, training, all this stuff that we have and challenges. You could start to avoid it. Again, all these things are there, but just be mindful. Is it worth explicitly telling now we can add cybersecurity, drones, etc., part of your manned services? If that's the case, will you be able to get the same amount of respect revenue as much as the tech companies? It's something that you need to ask yourselves. But end of the day, security will continue to become a priority, and that's where it comes in. But the overall challenge still is there for you. How do you hire people, train people? COVID-19, we all stepped up to do what's right for this industry, but most importantly, now the traditional technology that's being used by the buyers tend to be pretty old. In some cases, when there is a trouble, especially in some retail outlets, we have seen where people need to wear arms, where you need to wear your vests and other thing to just go. Again, these people are right there in front, facing that sort of things in front. But again, no, it's that sort of messaging that's super important, the people element. Now, that's the thing that I talked about big in why market is screwed. The more and more we run behind keywords or buzzwords, that we could play a role. Net zero, as it's clearly said, we implement or we create. The planning and stuff has always been done by bigger players, and they make a lot more money out of it. When I say bigger players, I'm talking about the consulting companies and the accounting companies like the Deloittes and the McKinseys and the Bains of the world. They create a green plan, net zero, and other plans, and then they bring it up, measuring with their IT partners to deliver some of these, and then we end up doing those things or implementing this part of it. So your overall outlook for security should follow the same pattern, for you to succeed in this marketplace. Because People will procure it in the same way, especially the questions that they have got. But as you inherit the contract, that's where you're going to find a lot more things start to change, because the buyers are influenced by a lot more than what you think. And so understand it and position it. So again, I've listed some of the security accreditation. There is a lot more that you could do. Again, if you are part of any industry associations, again, I normally don't get much out of these associations myself. I've stopped becoming a member of anything, but in your industry, you have to become part of the association to say we are accredited XYZ. Again, reach out to your association to just say, what are you doing for me? Because that's something that we missed massively on this. How many of you subscribe to this or some of these? I just picked it up from a couple of websites. You know, different associations provide you different, you pay subscriptions to them, which means what type of buyer engagements that they have, what are they telling to go maximize it? Because rather than to spend money on multiple associations, pick up 3 or 4 that's relevant to you. If you are entering into the cybersecurity technology arena, you might need to form part of that type of associations as well, Tech UK and related stuff. But either way, that's where we are. Finally, all you can do at this stage is, there's the final note before we open for questions. Your security services is procured like any other. I always have this slide in anything. There's the security services like any other FM is procured differently across the sectors. Sometimes it's pure play, as you can find here. Sometimes it's part of soft FM. Sometimes it's part of integrated FM. This is where it's important for you to just say why they procure as a single service, why they procure. Somebody will say there is a trend that's happening. We have seen this time and time again. We don't do this battles anymore, trying to prove it to people. People buy differently. If 10 people buy differently, of course, then that becomes a trend. But primarily what happens is it's important for you to educate your current buyers to just say, okay, if you are a specialist soft FM company, it's important for you to go to the single service, say, hey, you know what, why are you procuring it this way? We can provide. So you need to understand within the same buyer, who does the cleaning, who does the catering, who does hard maintenance, etc., so that you could collectively shape it, which means, hey, every procurement costs you money. So why can't we add it together so that you can do it? What's the reason behind, rather than to say, by us, by our services, it's important for you to distill why they buy it that way. And then you shape your solution accordingly, because buyers still don't know what they want, which is still the case. And for me, the buyers are service providers like yourself, which means it's hard. Everything changes, which means you are still being asked the same questions, but once you're under contract, you need to comply with everything and anything. So it's important, this is, we do voice of the customer. So primarily what that means is interview a lot of your own account managers, understand what's happening within your portfolio, then use them to interview your own existing buyers, understand why they buy that one, what noises or what key messages within your own buyer portfolio that you get it. Then you build your intelligence, because otherwise you will be given a lot of noise of, okay, single services, integrated FM is no more, or bundled FM is no more the preferred model. It's now changing into single services. Who told you that? Yeah, we monitor contracts. We have seen a drop on this. That's because that those buyers have decided, part of their own risk mitigation, you name it, because of Caroline and the Capita crisis, Kia crisis, when that came out, people said, okay, we don't want to put all the buckets in one, so at least we'll demarket into soft and hard, or if we possible, we go even lower on this. So part of the social value and other things. People buy for different reasons. That doesn't mean it's a trend, X, Y, Z, Y. Please do understand that. Educate your buyers, get it there, and then you are, you do need to be prepared. When it comes to local government NHS tenders, there is a trust deficit. You can provide the greatest of the services with the greatest of the people, but it's not because of you. That's how that industry or those people are nurtured. So especially security tenders could very well be enforced, and if it's insourced, obviously it goes into a black hole. You might not know any information about, hey, now you have insourced, whether it adds any value, whether it's improved performance, etc. But that's the way. But it will come back again. You are in this market where insourcing will happen, but please do have some mitigation around it. Your union engagements, have something to do with, because end of the day, yes, you want to win more, but you also have to retain what you've got. But the best thing that you can do for the market is what could be our collective message that we can take it to these buyers who are insourcing. Say, this is it. While you compete, that's all good. That's the right thing to do. But that's really the important message. And most importantly, it's 100% after COVID. All we get is LinkedIn post of I went to a meeting, I saw my cleaner, I saw my security, take a selfie and come back. Please don't do that, because we did a survey with buyers. We had 900 buyers, both public and private. That's one thing that they hate, because it's so artificial. You might be thinking you're doing it for the right service. They don't, because if genuinely you want to recognize them and let them say what they have to say. And these people, they are not on LinkedIn, but let's just plan your recognition and other things carefully, because it's plan it in a way that they want. So again, I'm giving you all this all these things, but the important point is this is where the market is. If you want to boost the pipeline, let us know. But the most important thing is this is not everything that we have. So if you're making any decisions, there is this caveat that we have 900 contracts, but there could be 2,000 contracts. But with what we have, this is the state of the market. You do have 1.5 billion that hits us in the next 3 years. Predominantly, there are 2-3 big tenders in central government. Cybersecurity is part of security now. See how you can plan this accordingly. Other than that, just be mindful of your IT providers within your portfolio. Talk to your buyers, your prospects, and your existing buyers. Why did you procure this way? Because your buyer might have a view, but the procurement team has been remitted to procure it on a different way, and that's where they land. So look into this, and when you celebrate your security staff, celebrate in a way that it deserves respects. So that's it. So otherwise, these are the standard stuff people use. Again, we always get queries about Rain app. It's in beta. All the contracts that we have, we uploaded into a Rain app. So you could slice and dice, look for all the comparator contracts, all publicly available information. Nothing. We don't take pipeline from somebody, push it to others. We build pipeline, publicly available, add it in whatever we can, and then we set it. That's the reason we still have a trusted relationship with a lot of people. Any one of research or anything that you want to stress test, here is it. This is important. Please do, when you do anything on recompete, when you have renewals or when you have won a contract, don't just talk about performance, NPS surveys and stuff. There is a lot more that happens, and you and your clients. I know I'm not helping myself. You and your clients and your buyers and your account people know a lot more about what happens within your market intelligence than me or my team, so we just bring it together because we do it as a day job. But in your case, and how can you nurture that thing, every 3 months do something about it, or me or I can come and talk about to account managers, and we can pull up the thoughts. What is it? Why is it? Just please do ensure that's part of it. But other than that, the pricing benchmarking, which used to be a big one for 2021-22 part of portfolio, for some reason is not happening, which is a good news, which means a benchmarking or going to the cheapest price as kind of, I wouldn't say it doesn't exist, but it's slowed down. But there was a time where every other time it could be councils or it could be NHS Trust, we were doing pricing benchmarking. This is the current source. How does it compare to others? Who are the other suppliers? We don't want to work with this provider. Who would you recommend explicitly? But today, that sort of projects have stopped down. I think the market is coming back to neutrality. I think so. That's where you can position yourself. So primarily, that's it. We publish every month again for state of the FM market is the next webinar, December 13th. We consolidate those, what happens, then we publish it, which means our reports are much more updated every 3 months compared to other reports which get updated every 3 years. This is overall market. It might not be the same way as you might have structured your own company. That's what specialist companies tend to use. Is, okay, I have food. I don't want to talk about catering. Mine is food. What's the food market in UK? And compared to how we categorize, which is catering market. So you might have your own niche, which means this will give you an overall view. But if you want a specific thing, you might need to dwell deeper on this, because just be mindful when you rely on anything that comes in your way. Just double check what's their economic model, what their assumptions behind before we make any decisions. Because your marketing team posting a lot of information, check with them why they post what they post. How does it relevant to what you're doing? And then when you write up the tender, because remember your buyers now are also reading those things. And I've seen buyers, head of property directors, director of facilities, bookmarking these posts and asking questions about that's what has been done. Show me the proof. So is marketing aligned to sales is always a question, and is sales aligned to operations always a question, and that's it. So just be very, very mindful of your image outside, because all it takes is one flip and it goes in. So now because marketing, sales to operations, and most importantly accounts. That's it. And these are the high level pointers. It's £500 to join, become an insider, and plus this with the others. And you do get this. This report is 2,950. Interestingly, if you become a insider for £500, you get all these slides. We can also work with you to fill those gaps. Plus, you also get this 3,000 worth of the market report for free. That's the overall point. And that's me. And if there is any questions, please to ask. And apologize again for the gimmick Friday. My wife was an AME, and we are a small team of 7 people, just to reign, and then overall we're 19. So end of the day, anything require us, where we are. I'm open for any further questions. But otherwise, I'll see you on December 13th, I think, when we have the next webinar, which is going to be on this consolidated state of the FM market. Yes, it's 13th December. Invite will follow. Thank you so much. Any questions, I'll be on standby. Thank you. Did you find this useful? Or do you want me to change the way this gets presented? Or if there is anything, please, because I'm doing this all because you are very busy doing your day job. These little interventions kinds of tells you, okay, am I in the right direction? That's all we are trying to do it for you. I hope it's useful. Thank you. If there is any other questions, you have my email ID, bhaskar@baachu.com. Drop me a note. Otherwise, all the very best to you. And Thanksgiving, which is a US thing, is also becoming common. It's 24th. So happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And I'll hopefully see you on December the 11th. Many industry friends are asking, am I going to organize a get together for Christmas? I haven't thought about it, but I'll send out an invite. I'll find a location, send out. It'll be good to see a lot of you. But thank you very much for your time. And if we do organize, I'd love to see many of the friends who I've only seen through these webinars and through these things face to face. But until then, take good care, and I'll see you December 13th, if not